Hello, everybody. This is the inaugural edition of the Bad Iron podcast and videocast. My name is Andy Mike, and I'm the host of Bad Iron Podcast. It's August the 16th, 2024. This is the kickoff of what I've hoped to do for a long time, and everybody else in the world seems to be doing these days. So I am going to try to kick something off now, and this is going to be more for me than it is for anybody that might be listening to this. You might just be for friends and family only, just to throw me a bone, or I play it for my dogs at night when they need a good rest after a long day in the pool. So Bad Iron is going to be the name of it, and I spent a lot of time thinking about what the name should be. I don't want to compete with the 4 million other podcasts that are out there and clever names. So I came up with Bad Iron because A, I played golf for more years than most of you listening have been alive. So there's a play on words with hitting a bad iron shot, which I've hit many of in my life. But bad iron is an idiom for bad luck or bad fortune. And so I thought, what better way to explain my golf game than bad luck or bad fortune? Most of you that have played golf with me, if you're listening, um, know that I preach about my bad breaks and bad bounces in golf, and how whoever I play with, whether it be Fonte or a particular guy by the name of Mike, that hits the ball 40 yards right into the trees, and somehow we drive up and their Callaway ball is in the middle of the fairway. Meanwhile, mine has hit a rake that somebody left on the right edge of the fairway and it's kicked back into the right, probably into a squirrel's nest or a rabbit's nest, where I can't take an unplayable or have to punch out. So, anyway, the meaning behind Bad Iron has got lots of meaning to it for me, not just from a golf standpoint, but also from a luck standpoint. And as I'll explain in a few minutes, I want to be able to share and talk about sports gambling because I think, as we all know, it's become a huge thing in the world today, especially in the United States. Forever and ever, it was an underground thing that you had to either go to Vegas for, go overseas and send your money overseas, or have a sketchy bookie that would exchange cash with you for your bets. And that was about the only way for the normal person to be able to make a bet and enjoy the what's great about gambling, which is going to kind of lead me to my next point. But first of all, Bad Iron Podcast, that's what we're talking about. We'll have bad beats along the way. We all do. We all get bad breaks where the field goal at the end of the game to cover the spread that we're on is a 38 yarder, and the guy decides to, I don't know, have his period before he goes out to kick it, and he slips and falls and completely misses the upright, wide right, or whatever the case may be. So we've all been there and done that. But today's August 16th, 2024. As I said, it's the 229th day of the year. We're only 20 days until the NFL at this point in time with the recording of this podcast. Only 7 days and 20 hours until college football starts, which that's really when life starts every year. September, late August for college football. That's when life starts, even before sports game. What else was there besides golf and maybe some Kentucky college basketball in the spring, the Masters, etc., majors along the way? I mean, we all long for those cooler temperatures in September, October days. We're either going to a football game or watching a football game, and maybe we have a few dollars on it to make it a little bit more interesting. So anyway, the college starts in 7 days and 20 hours. So a week from tomorrow on the 24th, I believe it is, of August. I think there are 4 games that day. One top 10 team, Florida State, will be playing and kicking off the season against Georgia Tech. And there'll be more about that in a future podcast. We'll talk about that game and all the rest of them as well. But I want to also say this podcast is, for me, like I said, it's about entertainment, having fun, talking about subjects that people want to talk about, listen to, react to. I'd love to someday be able to hear from a lot of other people that share my opinions or hate my opinions. I know the person that I'm going to have on in my next podcast hates a lot of my opinions. His name's Fonte. He's going to be a big part of this. We love to banter back and forth, and that's almost what I named this podcast because of how much we love to banter back and forth. But we do it in great fun. We laugh about it. Sometimes we get into it a little harshly, but that's why it's so fun. Um, so anyway, I've been sports gambling for most of my life. I won't get into the details of what that looks like, but I've always, well, I learned early from an early stage, and I want everybody else that listen to this along the way to, it's the best way to do it is to not expect to win money. It's like going into a casino. The casino always has the house edge. Does not matter. It always has the advantage no matter what you play, no matter how much you bet, no matter how much you put on the wheel, no matter what number you play, or if you play by the rules of blackjack, that casino will always win. The same's not true in sports gambling and or horses, whatever the case may be. And for the most part, the house, yes, always will have a vig or a take. They will make their money, but we're playing against the odds setters. We're playing against other people like us that may or may not know as much about gambling or much about the teams as we do, or much about trends. So there's an opportunity there, but I do not like to look at it that way. And that's why I think I've done pretty well at it. I always have a budget, and I always look at it as a form of entertainment for me. It makes the game a little more interesting for me from a competitive standpoint. I'm a competitor at heart. If I could stand up and show you, I can't do many sports anymore like I used to. I used to play every sport, so I didn't have the competitive itch, and that's why a lot of people I think that are involved in sports a lot, they have that itch to have a little bit of something on a game. So the key is to do it for enjoyment, do it for entertainment, understand that's what you're doing it for, and everything will be fine. And that's my view. I'm going to stick to it. I'll reiterate it more and more. And I'm not going to come on here and say, hey, here's my 5-star play of the day. It's guaranteed to win. I'm 4-0 and I picked this trend or whatever the case may be. I'm not going to do that. I want to just lay out my picks while I do them. I'm not even going to come on the next week and say, hey, I went 8-2 or 2-8. You guys can figure that out yourself if you listen. I'm just going to talk through the games, go through them fast. So that'll be a part of this podcast as well. But I want it to be more than just gambling, more than just sports. Like I said, we're going to talk about all kinds of things. For instance, like on this day, this is the 16th of August. So on this day in 1898, Spain declared war on the U.S. Did you know that? That was a good decision. How that turned out for Spain. On this day, August 16th, Madonna was born. She did not pass away. Madonna was born. And if I had Fonte on here, I would bet him right now that he doesn't know how old she is, but she turned 66 today. Steve Carell, The Office, one of my favorite shows of all time. He's surprisingly 62 today. Can't believe he's only 4 years younger than Madonna. Um, so, those are the kind of things we'll talk about. Also on this day, you got to give respect, pun intended, to Aretha Franklin, who passed away of cancer back in 2018. She was 76. A lot of famous people passed away on this day. Babe Ruth died in 1948 at only the age of 53. I honestly didn't realize he was that young when he passed away. It sounds like he lived a pretty fun life. And Elvis died on this day too, uh, at the age of 42 back in 1977. And funny story there is I'm from Lexington, Kentucky, and my parents had tickets to his concert in Lexington, Kentucky. I think it was, I don't know where the venue was, but anyway, had tickets. And he was supposed to do the concert later that year, and they ended up not being able to go. And boy, I wish I had those tickets today. They might be worth a dollar or two. So anyway, Bad Iron Podcast. That's the name. Um, we're going to go with. I've already set up some social media accounts. So if you're listening to this, I'd love to eventually interact there. I'd love to hear feedback from people on social media. I've got a Twitter account, also known as X. Thank you, Elon Musk. Also have an Instagram account. They're both called Bad Iron Podcast, just straight across. Right now, I'm probably not going to be easy. They're not going to be easy to find, but if you put in Bad Iron, BADIRON podcast, should be able to find them. I'd appreciate it. You follow me, send me something funny, something interesting, something you want to talk about, something you'd like to hear my opinion on. I don't get to share my opinions very often with very many people. I'd love to do that and love to hear other people's opinions as well. Give me opinions on the Bad Iron name. Um, it's I'm from Kentucky, so I say iron weird. Maybe that was a bad decision. Maybe it was bad fortune that I picked that name because I can't say the word iron. It's like oil. How do you say oil? Foil. I don't know. Something, I don't know. I'd like to hear how Fonty says it or my wife says it. I don't know. She's from California. She probably says it the right way, but I don't know how to say it. Anyway, so a little bit more about me. That's about me. I played every sport growing up, some successfully, some not so successfully. Played most sports into my 20s, played golf my whole life, competitively for most of my life. Definitely my favorite sport by far to play. Not my favorite sport to watch, but definitely my favorite sport to play. I wish I had more people living close to me. A lot of my friends live in other areas of the U.S. I'm actually in the Nashville, Tennessee area, although I'm a Chiefs fan, as you can tell, and have been for a long time. Talk about that later. I am not a Mahomes closet bandwagoner. Been a fan since well before Mahomes in the poor days. Have a big following here in Nashville of Chiefs fans. We have a Chiefs fans of Nashville group. We have a lot of fun. We do watch parties with hundreds of people, and then when we have playoff games and Super Bowl parties, one year we had 5,000 people show up to our event, and they were lined up down the street. So um, anyway, that's just a little bit about me. I feel like I'm kind of rambling. I don't know how to do a podcast. I mean, is there a way? I'm sure there are dummy books out there, podcasts for dummies. I haven't read one, nor will I, because maybe at some point I won't even call this a podcast. Maybe I'll come up with a better name. It's something other than just a podcast. It's just a recording, honestly. And I'm just looking at the walls in my room here and outside of my front windows and the chief stuff behind me and just kind of thinking and talking and blabbing and just dropping great stuff along the way. So anyway, I'm doing this. I'm not doing this to like gain a following or become, the Annie Agar of the NFL. If you know her, follow her. She's done a brilliant job of social media. Her clips about the NFL. I can't wait to hear them. She's not paying me for this. She doesn't need my help, but if you don't follow her, you should if you like anything about sports. It's just hilarious. Annie Agar, and so I'm not trying to be her or trying to be Hawk Tua Tagliavola or whatever and become some wild famous person that has this podcast. I really want to do this for me. I want to bring on here people that I know. So I'm teasing that the next one I do, I'll have one of my best friends on with me, and we'll go back and forth instead of just me talking the whole time. But I just wanted to do this one to kind of introduce what I hope for this to be. And so that's a little bit of what I hope for it to be. There's going to be some gambling. I'm not going to give you that 5-star play of the day. This is going to be about entertainment. And I want to just share gambling experiences that I've had in the past because I've learned a lot. Some of you listening may have only started gambling the last few years when it became legal. I've been doing it for most of my life, like I said. So I've learned I think, as many lessons just about as I can, but there's always more to learn. There's always more to understand. So we'll dig into that a lot more in the future episodes, I should say. Um, so for the next episode and other things we'll kind of talk about too, and I'll probably post it sometime next week. But we'll talk about the NFL and college football, the new rules coming in. You got to understand those anytime you're gambling on sports. At least you need to understand them at a somewhat relatively mediocre level. So we'll talk about, for instance, the new kickoff rules and the onside kick rules. We'll also talk about who's new to different teams, who's been traded, so you can stay up to date on what players went where, and what impact they're going to have on certain teams. Top rookies to watch, of course. We'll talk about that as well. We'll talk about the college football new rules, the 2-minute warning, the in-helmet communication, tablets being allowed for the first time. How in the world are we not allowed tablets up until now in college football? I don't know. But, and also other relevant stories, no matter what the subject is. Subject doesn't matter. We'll talk about, the George Mason team who scheduled the Bahamas trip, the basketball team scheduled the Bahamas trip to the tune of over $300,000 and ended up it was a scam. It was a complete scam. And so we'll kind of get into stuff like that. And Fonte and I will talk about that on the next one. We'll talk about the cringeworthy Will Levis commercial if you haven't seen it yet. And if you've ordered your mayonnaise, coffee, perfume, or cologne, whatever the case may be. And if you have, how does it smell? Mine is on the way. It's $8, no shipping. You got to get in. It's going fast. But we'll talk about that commercial, the cringeworthy commercial. I love Will Levis. He came from Kentucky. He now plays in Nashville. So, he was my quarterback for 2 years at Kentucky, but commercial may have been a little over the top. We'll talk about a little golf. I know it's an older story, but what happened with Matt Kuchar and coming back to finish off his round on a Monday. We'll talk about that with Fontaine, stuff like that. We'll talk about the woman that was arrested at Applebee's for sharing her appetizer. Yes, it actually happened. She was put in cuffs and put in jail. Um, stuff like that. We'll talk about obviously Caitlin Clark. She's big in the news. We'll talk about that and anything. The WNBA is kicking off yesterday, actually, and she's playing tonight. So we'll talk about that. Um, I'll plan to bring my female friend on with me, my female partner, at some point and talk about some of the news of the day. She stays up with the news of the day. So, like, these mothers that are literally breastfeeding in front of endangered orangutans to help them learn how to breastfeed. That sounds like a fun story to talk about. Who doesn't want to talk about that? Orangutans and breastfeeding. I mean, how's that not a good topic? I'll have we'll do a shame of the week. I'll have a shame bell. I want to do that. I want to, vote on a person who deserves to be shamed the most that week, whether it's a celebrity, an athlete, a coach, someone on social media, myself, whoever deserves that shame bell. We'll have a big shame bell and we'll do that. And that'll be fun. And we'll hopefully at some point get everybody voting on that. So that'll be fun. We'll do a beat the host. I think that would be really fun to do. I'd love to compete. I love to compete in gambling itself, but I think it would be fun to do something free online where, if anybody wants to join in and try to beat me against the spread, college or NFL or whatever, we can do that. And I'll throw in a few bucks as a prize for anybody that can beat me. So we'll do something like that. We'll do a beat the host where you can win, a few quarters off of me if you can beat me. And so, we'll do picks each week. I'll keep that to a minimum. And then, we might discuss bad beats the next week or whatever the case may be. But for whatever it is, we're gonna try to have fun. This one not been as much fun, but more introductory, where I just want to kind of introduce myself. Um, Most of you that are probably listening to this, at least early on, know me because I'm only going to be able to send it to people I know. I am a marketer, so hopefully I can, maybe spread a little bit and get a little bit of the word out there to more people than just my friends and family, and my friends' friends. But anyway, it's like I said, I've had fun just in this 20 or 30 minutes. I don't even know how long I've been on here. Um, just talking about this Bad Iron podcast and talking about what I really want to talk about, which is coming up, which is the college football season and the NFL season. It's the most fun time of the year. There's an unlimited canvas of topics to talk about, whether it's sports, college football, NFL, across the world. There is an election coming up. I'll try to stay out of politics, but there is an election coming up. So there may be some funny stories there as well. So that's what we're going to do. And I hope you enjoy the content and just the bantering and the arguments that we're going to have and the funny stories we're going to laugh about. We are really going to do our best to just have fun, be relaxed, share our ideas, share our opinions, share our thoughts. and see where this goes and just have fun with it. That's all it's going to be. As you can tell by the audio and my headphones and my background and the video, that I'm not spending a lot of money trying to do this to try to, like I said, become Annie Agar or Hawk Tua. I really just want to have fun with it, be able to spew some thoughts out and get them out. Talk to Fonte. We usually just talk via text. I'll have other people on as well. That'll be interesting people that are really good to talk to, and hopefully we just have a lot of fun with this. So it's the Bad Iron Podcast. That's a wrap on the first one from August the 16th, 2024. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you come back for more on the next one. I will make sure to put it out on all the social media channels that I shared with you, which is just Bad Iron Podcast on X, Twitter, and also on Instagram. So have a great day. Enjoy your weekend. Hopefully it's a safe one for everybody. We are only a couple of actually less than 3 weeks from the NFL now, 20 days from the NFL, 7 days till college football. So excited about that. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.